What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Lifestyle of Eden podcast. I'm your host, Nick Tognietti. And today we have a very special guest by the name of JD Tremblay. And JD is actually up in Canada. I'm really excited to have him because he focuses on a lot of things that I'm constantly teaching on my social medias with my programs, my clients, even the coaches in my university, which is a lot about self-development when it comes to habits, when it comes to disciplines, when it comes to the hard habits that actually, in my opinion, really make men become men, and not getting easy dopamine, but getting dopamine that's very, very earned through waking up at very, excruciatingly early times, hard workouts, hard training, ice baths, cold showers, all of these different types of things. And I know that JD works with athletes and so forth. So it's going to be really cool to hear his perspective on how do you push yourself to become the next level human that you want to be in a lot of ways, from your attributes, from your habits, your disciplines. But I would say even more importantly, how do you maintain those and make sure it's sustainable long term? So JD, I want to welcome you. Thank you, brother, for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nick.
So why don't you tell me, JD, where are you located at in Canada?
In Quebec, so it's the French part, right above Maine.
Are you from there originally?
Yeah, I grew up in the northern part of Quebec, and then at the age of 17, I left the region to join the military for over a decade. And then after the military, I went to university, and then I went to an institute, and then I came to back to Quebec, and so that's where I am located right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so now how old are you right now?
40.
40,
Yeah, I
yeah.
just turned 40, yeah, in May. So yeah,
Yeah.
about 2 months ago.
Yeah. So being the director of high performance and mental resilience at the Hungry Warrior Academy out there in Canada, number one, what I want to know what all that entails exactly and what you do in that position and what you're teaching and so forth. But how did you get there? What's your background? What brought you to be into this type of position and working with the athletes and the mindsets and the things that you're doing now?
Yeah. Well, I encompassed my entire life into becoming the director now because from a military perspective, then I am really mission driven. I have a lot of discipline. And then there is the engineering background. So I studied engineering. So now I studied math, science, facts. So I can create systems that help others. And then I went to an institute to become a naturopath. So I help people understand their body and heal in a more functional fashion. And the Hungry Warrior Academy came about with after the book came out and became a bestseller from the Epic Deca. So the
Mm,
Epic Deca, I'm one of three people in the world that finished that race, and it's 10 Ironman in 10 days on all six Hawaiian islands.
no way. Only three people have ever completed that?
That's correct. Yeah, 10 people registered because they were only taking 10 people. Well, they took a lot of people as application, but only 10 were approved. Six showed up on the start line, and only three people in the world finished that race. So,
Dude, that's incredible, bro. Congratulations. I love that. Yeah, well, it sounds like, what the job that you have now was really just an embodiment of the things that you've been living and doing for several years, you know? And then it turned into a profession, and now you get to teach that. So that's awesome, man. There's three subjects I really want to hear about from you, and I want to kind of hear because I know that they're focal points for you and what you teach with these areas, what falls under these areas, and how we make it in a way where it's sustainable. I actually have some people that they try. So, like, I wake up at 4 a.m. just when my alarm goes off. I've kind of done that for several years. And I know some people that will try to dive into that, and they do that for 4 months and they lose some weight because they're motivated and whatever. And then they fall off, right? They don't really keep this thing going. And I'm like, you got to keep this stuff up as a lifestyle, which means you probably have to find your why. I think the reason I don't do it because of anybody else, and I think a lot of other people might do it because I inspire them to do some of those things, but eventually that wears off. You've got to have your why, you've got to have your convictions, you've got to have the things that give you sustenance and longevity. And so the three areas I really want to talk about the importance. of building discipline and how you teach this, why you teach this, and so forth. I want to talk about the second one is the really big one because I would say this is affecting probably 90% of metabolic disease in America and cancer, which is managing your stress load. And then number three is, improving your longevity and being able to really do this long term. So why don't we start with the first one with building discipline? So just kind of unravel on that, what that means to you, why it's important, how you impart that and teach that unto others.
Mhm. Well, discipline, a lot of people think that because they do one task, they automatically have discipline. Because you wake up at 4 in the morning doesn't mean
Yeah,
you
that's
have
good.
discipline. Or
That's really
because
good.
you take a cold shower doesn't mean you have discipline at
That's
all.
really good.
Because you join the military, and that's how I learned it, doesn't mean you have discipline as well. And when I was 17 years old, I thought the military will teach me discipline, and the military didn't. There is right now, 28% of the Canadian military cannot be deployed because of obesity. And that is a fact that is in, it became a national security and the focal point, okay? And that's my understanding of it. And I'm certain that a lot of people would agree with my my personal opinion, but my personal research, I would say, is that they have lowered the standards. And the military, what they do is they give you a system, they give you standards. And if you follow these standards, then you acquire discipline. So, discipline is the byproduct of following a system, a rigorous standard for yourself. So, the reason why you have discipline in your life is because I can see it right now in your appearance. I can see it that you are mentally sharp because you came on this podcast, you were on time, so I can see all of these things. What you're doing is you are embodying this, and then you're getting discipline. So the discipline is the byproduct, not what you're getting out of going through a 2 week training or.
Yeah. So what would you say is the importance like why do you teach discipline? Why is it important? Like I know why it's important to me, but why is it important to you to do that, to do that? And then like how do you teach discipline? What do you teach that it really is so that men, women, whomever can start to say, I'm a disciplined individual?
Well, that's because there's a lot of noise in the world. There's a lot of people that are not disciplined and are teaching about discipline, or they are teaching about a certain topic that they are not knowledgeable about or not embodying it, and they are teaching. So for me, it was the big breakthrough is when I was taught to go see a personal trainer for an event that I wanted to compete in. And the person, the coach that I went to see, had all of the degrees, but clearly from their body shape, they were not
Yeah,
practicing what they preached. And so for me, that's why it's important, is because I want to practice what I preach.
yeah, that's awesome. What about like when it comes to discipline? So like what would you say are the benefits that somebody is going to acquire or receive from living a disciplined life, whether it's mentally, physically, ministerially, whether it's in business, whatever it is? Like, what do you notice the difference between serious disciplined people and not disciplined people?
You will get respect. So, because you are showing respect to yourself by abiding by these standards, then you get discipline. What
Yeah.
happen is you will get the respect that is demanded. So, you're
Yeah.
demanding that respect. That's not to say that there will be some consequences. There's a lot of people that are, you will receive more negative than positive by being a disciplined individual. So I just have to say this right off the gate. You will receive more negative from people than positive by being a disciplined individual. So don't do it for other people. Don't do it for your kids. Don't do it. Don't have your why being your kids or your wife or your community. Do it for your standards for yourself, or do it for a higher being. So that's what we teach at the Hungry Warrior Academy, is definitely that eternal restoration. So understanding that the reason why you're doing it as a man is you need to be focused on God. And so you have that being that clearly set the standards for you, because we're a
Yeah.
Christian organization. Our standards is the Bible.
Yeah.
We teach the Bible standards, which then by following it, then you're going to acquire some discipline. And by following it, you will acquire the respect that is demanded by a disciplined individual. Now, you will receive some negative for sure. People will hate you, people will dislike you. And that's because you are becoming a mirror to them. So they're looking
That's
at
super
you
good.
as a discipline, right?
No, that's super good. Whenever I was in when I was in Hollywood earlier this summer, and the people that I was with out there are, I won't say their names, but millions of followers on it, like very famous people. Like people know who they are, and they're literally known for their masculinity, they're known for their discipline, they're known for their hard habits, they're known for their mindsets, things like that. And one of the things that I actually was sharing, after being there that weekend, was what you just said. Like, whenever you walk in the room and you've got a good physique and you're in what I like to call flow state, where like there's just this place of creativity constantly because you're constantly in rhythm and routine and keeping the promises to yourself. There's just a level of confidence that exudes from you that everybody in the room notices. And this does, you just said it, it's a mirror for people, and it's the reason why a lot of people will now call you arrogant, cocky, a douchebag, like they don't like you, because you start to make them, it's not that you said anything to them or that you even acted like you were better than them. It's that your presence now makes them feel insecure with themselves because they're no longer doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're like, crap, man, JD has got something going on. Nick has got something going on. Like, they're not even staring at you. You make them look at themselves now. They're looking down at their shoes and they're like, my shoes are freaking dirty. Crap, my belly's sticking out. My jeans have got holes in them. And so I think that you're totally right. It's about the fact that the presence you carry now becomes a mirror for others, and it makes people feel very insecure with that. But at the same time, like you said, for me, it is a respect for me that's demanded. I always tell people, I go, hey, you're not going to like me, but if I go into a room where I don't feel, let me put it this way. If I go into a room where I feel like I'm just being tolerated, like my presence is just tolerated, I'm not going back into that freaking room. Like for me, I am somebody that you don't have to like me, but my habits, my discipline, my mindset is going to demand your respect, or it's going to trigger your insecurities. That's going to make you start talking down on me. And I'm not going to abide in that room anymore. My standards are just too high, and I would rather give value somewhere else if I can, or do whatever. So I think what you just said about it's a mirror, I think is like an incredible way to put that. That's awesome.
Yeah. My fire chief was saying when we came in, because I'm also a volunteer firefighter in my region because I live in a remote location. So I live in the mountains, so we do lots of search and rescue, fires. There's a lot of people driving very, very fast, so they get into car accidents. So people that have really nice cars, or especially motorcycles, and then
Yeah.
we see a lot of this in my region. And the fire chief was saying the way that you comport yourself is you should really think about, would you like that you're the one that shows up on the scene and be rescued by yourself? And if your answer is yes, then you are living according to how a firefighter should abide. And if people would live their life with that same mentality, would you be the person that would like to be rescued in the field that you are practicing? So if, let's say, you are in finance, you have nothing to do with being a firefighter or being a military special operators, or you're a cop, You are a guy in finance. Would you like to receive advice from yourself, yes or no? And if the answer is no, then you are definitely in the wrong field and you are trying to impress others by finance or by your money. There is a prideful aspect to you that you need to kill. There is this parasite called pride, which was right from the beginning of Genesis. That was the first sin, and you need to kill that pride in order to live a fulfilled life.
You know, the way that my first business mentor used to say exactly what you're saying was, if you look in the mirror, are you the person that you admire? Create the person that you admire, that if every person was to be like you, they would be better individuals. Create that person that you admire. Picture the person that you want to be. Become that person, and then give that person to the world. And that was the way he always taught me. He said, right from the beginning, he said, so we're going to start this with discipline and habits. He goes, right from the get go, look in the mirror, get naked. He goes, you don't like the way you look fat? Then great, let's change it. You don't like the way you look, you don't keep your word? Then let's change it. You don't like the way you can't wake up early and do hard things? Let's change it. You crumble whenever a lot of problems hit your life? Let's change it. Whatever it is, let's get naked. Let's look in the mirror and let's embody the person spiritually, physically, mentally, in every single way that you want to be. Create that person first. After you create that person, give the roadmap for how others can become you. And when he said that in simple terms, he said, create the person you admire, then give it to the world. And I was just like, that really changed my life. You know, that was pretty incredible. And one of the things that I liked about it was he always said, when you're in the process of becoming that person, don't feel like you can't share it. Document it. Start filming it every day. Take out your phone. Show what time you're waking up and making the coffee in the morning at 4:15 every day. You know, show yourself going to the gym, this, then there. Give the path to people as you're becoming that individual. But it literally is the embodiment of what you just said. So that's incredible. Become the firefighter, become the financial person if you want to give finances. Like, become that person first that you admire in every given area. And then bam, give it to somebody else. Give it to the rest of the people on how to become that. That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this now, to the second point, managing the stress load. What does that mean? How do we do it?
Well, stress load. So there is external stress, internal stress, and then there are stressors in both categories. Those stressors can be from external sources or they can be manageable by you. So, for example, an external stress that cannot be managed or controlled by you would be a partner. Many people think that they'll have better relationship by controlling your partner. That is not the case. There is not a single, it will work to a certain degree, but it will not provide you the type of relationship where your partner will love you. You will have purchased or controlled another human being. You will have enslaved another human being. Once you have the love of your partner, the woman will go to her feminine side and will respect you, and the man will love his wife, right? So you have stressors, and then there are some that you cannot control, and then there are some that you can control. The ones you cannot control, you are to manage them to the best of your ability. So, for example, a person who is, and I'll say it for myself, when I was 17 years old, my parents had divorced. I was 14 years old. I was being bullied when I was in school. By any means, I'm not a big guy or I used to do a lot of martial arts, used to do, but again, I do it as a sport and I was bullied a lot. My parents just got divorced and I have to make a tough decision. That's an external stress that I cannot necessarily control because my parents are both looking for their own healthy path. So at the age of 17 years old, I'm just a kid, cannot even buy a pack of cigarettes or a bottle of alcohol legally by myself. I decide I'm going to go and remove myself from this unhealthy environment, which is a stress, and I will join the military, which everybody would say the military is extremely stressful, but I
Yeah.
would rather live with the military guys and being deployed than being in an unhealthy environment, because I was able to manage and control a lot more of that stress, of those stressors in the military than I was being at home. And so that's just one. Now, the second one is internal. And so those are the ones that you have your mental load, you have your body has a lot of inflammation. And so we've decreased the level of nutritional value that we get from our food sources. We are definitely overeating in for the majority of people, and we're not eating in the healthy way, which creates a certain type of inflammation. So we've created an acronym at the Hungry Warrior Academy that is called BRAIN. So the BRAIN acronym stands for blood chemistry. R is recovery, A is attention, I is inflammation, and N is nervous system. Once you can look at the BRAIN acronym for your own specific life, then you can remove a lot of the stressors. So, for example, and I'll take one that not many people would know, blood chemistry. So you have glucose swings, you have hydration, you have electrolytes, you have the inflammation in your blood. So all of those factors are what creates the blood chemistry. And once you're able to look at it, you're able to say, yes, the doctor has said remove or reduce or even don't have a lot of salt, which contains sodium. But at the same time, if you're a person that sweat a lot, then sodium needs to be part of your diet. For example, for me, I roughly go between, depending if I'm off season or inside of an event, between 75 to, if I'm really, really dialed in, about 68 kilogram. But again, if I when I wake up in the morning, and even today, I woke up and I had 1,000 milligram of sodium. That's the first drink that I have in the morning. I have water and I have sodium, and all of my biomarkers are in perfectly good health. I am in shape. I am yes, I am at the top of my league. I am an elite athlete. I swim, bike, and run entire countries, and I eat sugar in the morning. I eat salt in the morning, but it's because I understand when those glucose swings would happen, how my body, and that's just blood chemistry.
Yeah, I got water, salt.
Cheers.
I got wa I got water, salt, and electrolytes all up in this thing right here.
There you
Yeah.
go. But at the
No,
same time, the reason why a lot, give me a second.
yep.
Later. Yeah, bonne journée. Okay. And we're back. So thank
Well,
you.
let me ask you this. So
Yeah.
like in I put pink Himalayan salt. Like I load my food up. My meals, I eat 3 meals a day, but
Mhm,
like I load my food up with salt. Like I am not a shy
mhm.
person when it comes to salt. I'm a huge fan of it. I think it really helps with the adrenals. I think it helps with the stress of the body.
Yep.
Hydration. I'm huge with it. It's actually so I have my 7 pillars. Lifestyle of Eden is my company. We have the 7 pillars of disease reversal, prevention, and longevity. My fourth pillar being with hydration, and I always talk about it's not just water; it's about electrolytes. So, like utilizing sodium and all these different types of things. So, I'm real big on everything that you just said. Let me ask you this: when it comes to the stress load as well, and I think it kind of brings us back to the first points of discipline. I have noticed in seasons where I've been more lax on my habits and my hard disciplines, my stress resilience goes down. So I'll give you an example. So like generally my routine is I didn't do it this morning because I'm going to get my blood work tomorrow, so I'm trying not to like train hard today just so I don't have like false liver enzymes up or anything. But generally wake up at 4 a.m., spend about an hour and a half or so, studying the scriptures, journaling, things like that. And then about 6:15, I'm heading to the gym. And then when I'm done by 8, I will after my walk and everything else, after my weights, I'll come home, I'll do like a cold shower or ice bath, something like that. I'll eat a clean meal, get dressed, get in the office. And so doing these types of hard habits of like, hey, I'm not negotiating with myself at 4 a.m. when my alarm goes off. I'm making sure that I get my tough workout in the morning. I'm doing an ice bath or cold shower, which always makes you question life before you get in there. All of these different things, it has made it to where mentally, I feel like handling tasks and hard business things that stack up or whatever just becomes so much easier to me because naturally I've
Mhm.
accustomed my mind to think that really hard things are normal. So I notice a lot of people that their habits suck. And I'm like, this is why your nervous system is so jacked up, is you have no resilience. Like even the smallest task of a struggle that comes along your day makes you riled up and whatever. You don't have
Mhm.
that stress resilience. So do you find that those two are really kind of married together?
So they are. The reason why I brought up the BRAIN acronym based on stress and discipline is because even if you are a person that is highly disciplined, you wake up in the morning or you do your cold showers or your cold bath, you eat right in the sense that based on what you want to eat. When you look at, let's take an example. There's a lot of hype right now with social media. A person or an influencer wakes up in the morning and right away, those guys, they go to the gym. Okay. So they're spending that energy. But that's not the reality for the majority of people. The majority of people are waking up, eating some type of food, and then going inside of a car for maybe half an hour to an hour, and then they're going to work. So
Yeah.
let's take the exact same two. Those are two people, but two completely different schedule. One person wakes up, he's an influencer. Both people wake up. You understand cortisol level. I'm assuming that everybody understands that by now is your stress hormone. When the body wakes up, everybody's cortisol level is quite high. A person that is more trained is adaptable, and so your cortisol level generally goes
Yeah.
lower during the
Yeah.
day. So your cortisol level is high. That person that goes to the gym, person A, goes to the gym, he's an influencer, or he goes to the beach, so he's sweating a lot, but he's still spending that energy under the sun. That person just is going to eat carbs in the morning. So he makes himself a nice shake and he puts some sugar into it, such as let's go with natural with maybe maple because I'm Canadian, so we gotta add the maple in everything. Or you add some honey or guava, or even you're going into so anyway, what happened is that now that person's insulin level is high, but he's spending that energy immediately, which for you, you're waking up, you can afford to have a sugary drink in the morning because you are going to the gym immediately after. For another person, that person is waking up, cortisol levels high, and doesn't go to the gym, goes inside of their car for half an hour to an hour, even if, and that's why I'm saying, even if they build that discipline over the years, they wake up at the exact same time, which is the definition of that discipline. They've built the discipline throughout their life. They will have a larger amount of stress inside of their system as a result of not following the BRAIN acronym. So that person wakes up, makes themselves a shake because they saw on TikTok, they saw on TikTok that you need to make yourself a shake, nice strawberries and some sugar, and then their cortisol level is high. That's stress. Insulin level is high, and now they get into traffic, and they're just a giant ball of stress, and they have not even done anything. So even if you try to control the variables that are outside of you, or you still need to control everything that you eat based on your circumstance.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I agree with you 100%. So then my last question is this, our last topic is talk about longevity for the sake of not burning out.
So that's on the basis of following that structure that is working for your life to a long period of time, which creates that longevity. So when you're able to calculate all of these markers for your life, when you're looking at, let's say, the brain acronym, and then you're able to make sure that you are in line with what is necessary for your life.
Yeah.
Like, for example, attention. Well, attention is task switching. A lot of people think, oh, I'm able to focus with two things at once. Well, that's not true. It, you can chew gum and run, but you can't just be watching a soccer game or a football game and be focused on your task. Like, that's not the reality for everyone. That's not a thing. Task switching needs to be taken into consideration. And so by doing this for a long period of time and understanding which one you need to work on prior in the beginning or as a hierarchy, then you're able to live a much healthier life and a much fulfilled life.
Yeah. No, 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 no. That's good. That's really good. Yeah, I think so in other words, what you're saying is that the lives that we need to live that have discipline in our stress load, but for the sake of longevity, these things have to be heavily customized to the individual.
Exactly. You can't just have a cookie cutter where you're going to follow some TikTok influencer, and because that person is doing that specific task daily and routinely, it will generate the same amount of result that you have. Why?
No,
Because we don't react the same. We are all individual people. And so we have to treat this specific condition. The way I can explain it is do things for a purpose, and you are the creator of your own success. Whether you are talking about success in finance, relationship, or health, you are the creator of that success.
yeah, and I think, that how we talked about earlier, create the person that you admire and give that person to the
Yeah.
world is you got to figure out who is the avatar that you want to give that person to. So, for example, like me, I know that my lifestyle is not going to be conducive for a lot of people that don't own their own businesses. You know what I mean? Well, it's not that my lifestyle is not, you just can't do it in the order that I do it. I think that you can still get your body movement in, you can still do your cold showers or ice baths, but you just have to figure out your time frame and like when that's going to happen and kind of fit that around you and prioritize yourself to where you make sure you get those things in the midst of your work schedule, being a mom, a dad, whatever it may be. But I have realized too, I think a big niche of mine is for CEOs. CEOs, business owners, directors, things like that. People that are kind of like more on the top of whatever their business scope is. Just because usually when you do that, you can create your schedule a little bit more. And
Yeah.
and with the type of routine that I have, I think that my routine hits a lot more of that type of niche of people. But I think that that's good is it's being able to customize all of these things. But I think that the important thing is making sure that the attributes we're talking about, the lifestyles we talk about, is actually for everybody, but it's figuring out how to make it fit into your daily life. I think a lot of people will be like, well, no, I don't think that the body movement part really is for me or hard habits and this, that, and the other. And I go, to be honest, I think they're for everybody. It's a proven fact what it does to your brain, what it does for your brain chemistry, your health, your longevity, removing inflammation from your life. Like there are certain pillars, like I call my 7 pillars, that every human being needs to learn how to do: hydration, body movement, community, getting your proper sleep, nutrition. These are universal languages. But like you said, being able to fit it to the individual, I think, is critical.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people use the word longevity, and it's been placed in a lot of practices. But the question that everybody has to ask themselves is, do you want to live a long life unhealthy with finances, relationship, or health? Or do you want to live a life that is healthy in all three aspects?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just to sum it up, just because it's crazy to me, did you say, so I don't misquote it, did you say 28% of Canadian military cannot be deployed because of obesity?
Yeah, yeah, it's a known fact. So you can go look it up. The
Is
CDS
that
tried to.
I haven't even looked that up with the United States military. Like, is that higher than most militaries, or are a lot of militaries that way?
So a lot of militaries are that way, and that's why right now the Trump administration, now whether you like them or not, is
Right, right, right.
irrelevant. Okay, I'm Canadian. I'm not on the right or on the left. Okay, but I'm not trying to spark a debate. But that's why they are pushing right now for more stringent standards. Is because it's not about bringing discipline into them. It's about giving them a standard to follow to show the world we should be respected as a country. And right now there is not a single country that respect the Canadian military because we are shown to the world as being highly, well, 28% is one in four. Now, yes, I did not talk about the 68% that are fat or overweight.
Well, no, you know what? I'll stop you right there, actually. The CDC, the Center of Disease Control in the United States, so it says that approximately 21.6% of active duty U.S. military service members are clinically obese, and nearly 68% are categorized as overweight or obese, which directly impairs individual deployment readiness and increases injury risk. However, the Department of Defense does not track a single specific percentage for total deployment ineligibility solely attributed to obesity. So, I mean, what you just said, 68%, that 68% is a theme in the United States as well. That's unfreaking believable, bro.
Yeah, but 68%, I did not talk about it. The reason is because you know that there is a chart for BMI, and when you take that chart, a guy like you that
Oh,
is,
I'm obese. I'm obese. Yeah,
there
yeah.
you go,
Right,
right?
right, right,
So
right, right,
so
right,
and
right.
that's why. So you would fit in the category of an overweight person.
Yeah, yeah.
Yet I would definitely look into just giving you a gun and being deployed with you more than another individual that is not healthy. And that's why I'm not talking about the 68% is because a lot of people are overweight, but you can still deploy them. But for 28%, even if you remove, I would say 10% of that, 20% of that, as they are clinically having some medical disorder, you're still ending up that with the same point
Yeah,
that
no.
the
Sure.
majority or one fourth of the military is not able to be deployed as a result of lowering standards and having undisciplined individual. And so
Yeah, that's
discipline
really
is crucial for the
yeah.
cohesion and the readiness of a country to be able to be respected overseas and throughout the world.
Yeah, that's wild. It's insane. In fact, I'm 5'9", right? So 5'9",
Mm,
if you're over 169 pounds, anywhere from 169 to 202, you're actually considered overweight. The
yeah.
moment you're over 203, you're considered obese. Like I'm 229 pounds as of this morning. You know what I mean? Like I'm way
Yeah.
up.
So,
But but
yeah.
even whenever I was, three,
You're
yeah,
fat.
exactly. No, exactly, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah. I'll be
But
the
it's
first person to say it. Yep.
but I'm the one still doing sprints, at the track each
Yeah.
week and like doing all the functional, stuff and whatnot. But it is crazy. In fact, you want to know something wild about what you just said, how about discipline is such a big part of the readiness and respect for a country. So an individual of my a friend of mine that owns a practice as well, he's down in Costa Rica. I'm actually speaking at his conference here later this year, but he just posted the other day, I shared it, that the biggest rapist, no, in the United States.
Yeah,
You might have seen this video.
I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
the
But
big,
say it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
for everybody.
the biggest rapist in the United States of America was interviewed and was asked, "How did you pick your victims?" And he said, "The way that I picked my victims was I studied their dad for a length of time. And as I followed the dad, if the dad seemed like a soft or weak individual, I would rape his child because I knew that I had nothing to worry about. But all of the individuals who those dads seemed tough, mentally resilient, they were not people to mess with, I never came near their kids." And I was like, holy crap, dude. Like the biggest rapist in the United States, that was his metric. And what you just said reminded me of that because you're like,
Mhm.
the respect of a country is based off of, are you somebody that's just real soft and like petty and a baby and you look soft, you don't have discipline, you don't look like you're tough to deal with? Or are you somebody that's built on discipline, habits, self-development, things of that nature? So that we didn't plan that obviously, but that's an incredible summarization to this podcast. That's wild, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
like that. Yeah,
Wow. Well, man, dude, JD, it's been awesome having you on, bro. I know that the the viewers are going to absolutely love this episode and really glean a lot from it. And probably, like you said at the beginning of the podcast, some will love it, and then some of them will hate us and call us arrogant and everything else because it's a mirror. It makes them look themselves in the mirror and have to say, hey, you're going to confront your own disciplines, your own habits and vices, if you will, and really get rid of those. So thank you so much for joining me, bro.
yeah. Thanks for having me, Nick.
Absolutely. And so we'll make sure that you can get JD Tremblay's information down in the bio. So please make sure that you look him up, follow him, reach out to him, whatever it is. But his information is there for you. So, JD, thank you again. And for everybody else listening, stay tuned for the next episode.